Welcome everybody, Brother Dan Goodwin here, your host on the God's Final Jubilee program. I hope you're doing well. This is December the 23rd, 2018, just another week or a week or so left of 2018, and we are still here. Alright, so I want to talk about the Syria thing going on. I've waited a few days. Several of you have asked me why I haven't posted on this. I'll tell you why, because things change. And don't be so quick to jump on things. You got to find out what's going on, what the facts are. And I've learned some things in the last few days that I think sheds a little bit of light on this thing. In a moment I'm going to show you a map. It's going to may be hard for you to see, but I'm going to show you the Middle East. I'm going to show you where Damascus is, Syria, and I'm going to show you where Israel is, where Iraq is, and Iran. And so you can try to get a picture of what this all really means and what this is about. Because it's not about Syria, it's about Israel. It's always about Israel. And Iran wants to blow them off the face of the map. Syria is just a border country that Iran wants into and wants to get up against Israel and be able to take them out. So you got to understand that when you hear things going on over there. All right. First of all, let me read you scripture too. The famous Isaiah 17, verse 1. Basically, it's all the way. The whole chapter is worth reading, but Isaiah 17, verse 1. The burden of Damascus. Now, realize Damascus is in Syria. Okay, the capital. Damascus. All right, and by the way, Damascus is in the lower end of Syria, on the southern end, very close to Israel, very close, okay? The burden of Damascus, this is Isaiah, this is like 700 AD when this was written. So the burden of Damascus, this is before the captivity. The captivity took place somewhere around 605 BC. This was written somewhere, if my memory's right, 720 BC, 100 years before Babylon and Nebuchadnezzar and Daniel. Isaiah was written. And many people believe that this is a prophecy that has not yet been fulfilled. I personally don't know for sure. I've read this, I've studied a little bit. I have not come to a personal opinion as yet, but these guys could be right. I don't know. The burden of Damascus. Behold, Damascus is taken away from being a city, and it shall be a ruinous heap. Now, if you do some study, you'll find many of the old-timers of the last generations believed that this already took place in 2 Kings chapter 16, with King Ahaz and the battle that happened there. I don't know. It's hard to tell. Some people believe this prophecy has already been fulfilled, and then others, because it says Damascus still exists today, they believe that this prophecy says that Damascus will be a ruinous heap and will never be a city again. You can read through this for yourself. You'll have to make your own decision there. Let me read you another passage, though, that I think is interesting. In Jeremiah, by the way, Jeremiah is written right at the captivity, just before the captivity. And Jeremiah lived before and during the captivity. I'm talking about the 70-year captivity of Nebuchadnezzar in Babylon, the book of Daniel, remember? So what I'm reading here was written 100 years later, 100 years after Isaiah wrote his. And look what it says here in verse, this is chapter 49 of Jeremiah, verse 24. Damascus is waxed feeble, and turneth herself to flee. And fear hath seized upon her, anguish and sorrows have taken her as a woman in travail. Strange stuff, huh? And then, how is the city of praise not left, the city of my joy? Verse 26. Therefore her young men shall fall in her streets, and all the men of war shall be cut off in that day, saith the Lord of hosts. I think what's interesting here is this takes place probably just before this is during the captivity era. 100 years after what Isaiah was writing there. And it's obvious that Damascus still exists when you get to Jeremiah 29. Is he talking about the same prophecy of Isaiah 17? Possibly. So, in other words, I guess the point I'm making here is this prophecy here, what we read in Jeremiah, says that even after King Ahaz, because King Ahaz is before the captivity. He's before King Jehoiachin, who's the king that taken away into captivity under Babylon. Ahaz is before that. And yet here we see after that Damascus is still there. So that's something to think about. But it's interesting here what he says about Damascus, and of course that's in Syria. Now let me give you some things here, and I've got a map to show you. Let me just show you why this is such a big deal to people and why Syria matters. If you can see on this map here, this is Israel. This little strip here, this little strip right here is Israel. I know that's probably hard for you to see, but that little bitty strip, about 100 miles long, that's Israel. Next to them over here on the whole west side of Israel is Jordan. Saudi Arabia is this great big thing here. Saudi Arabia, they do not join with Israel. They're on the other side of Jordan. Lebanon is right here, a little bitty thing. Right on the northern tip of Israel is Lebanon. Beirut is in there. You hear about Beirut a lot. It's believed that Iranian planes are delivering weapons to Beirut. That's a report that I just read. Why is that serious? Because they're right on the border of Israel. Syria is over here. Damascus, by the way, is right there, right on the edge of Lebanon, just very close, just miles from Syria, okay? So, here is Iraq. This green thing here is Iraq. And over here is Iran, the country that we're always talking about. There's Iran. Iran does not border Israel. Iran has to go through Iraq and Jordan, or Iraq and Syria, to get to Israel. So there's a buffer there, right? So if Iran can get into Syria, they're right on the border of Israel. You got that, right? Okay, so I want you to see that. I'm not sure how well that showed up for you on the screen there, but you can get your own map and look it up. Now let me give you some things. The news now is that Trump is pulling troops out of Syria. How long have they been there? They've been there since 2014. Let me read you some things here before you get all upset with Donald Trump. And by the way, let me say this to some of you. Every time Mr. Trump does something you don't quite agree with, some of you tend to throw him under the bus. Every time I hear that, I think, well, sure, we could have had Hillary then. Because you'd have wanted to throw Hillary under the bus every day. Every time she opened her mouth, you'd want to throw her under the bus. You better thank God we've got Donald Trump. Okay, he does some things that maybe you don't understand or maybe you don't think are quite right. He's human. He's a man. Nobody gets it all right. King David didn't get it all right. King David numbered the people and caused thousands to die of disease and pestilence. So before you expect Donald Trump to be perfect, you better realize King David wasn't perfect either. So get off of that. My goodness, people. We've got a human being that's the President of the United States, and first of all, you don't know all the facts. You don't know all that's going on with this. You don't know what information he has and what's really going on behind the scenes. Okay, let me read you some points here, and I'll get off here and let you go think this thing over. Number one, President Obama, put us in Iran in 2014. I'm talking about Obama, who is pro-Iran. I'm talking about the Obama who gave billions of dollars in cash to Iran and brought us that crazy peace thing, or that stupid agreement that they came up with where they gave Iran all this money. And he is the one who sent troops to Syria 4 years ago, not in 2014. Okay, how long you want them guys to stay there? Are we supposed to send troops to every country around the globe? Is that America's job? By the way, many of the people in the news, the fake media idiots. I saw some post. I saw some people who put it up. They had this. They had reporters saying, "This is so stupid. Why is Trump doing this? This is going to harm the world." And then they showed what they said back in 2014 when we sent troops there. The same guys were all for it, thought it was a good thing because they were Obama fans. See, when Obama was president, it was good that he sent troops there. Or let me say it this way. What he's saying is, some of the reporters criticized the sending of troops to Syria back in 2014. Now that Trump is bringing them home, they're criticizing, the same guys are criticizing him for that. Crazy, isn't it? So remember who put the troops there. If Obama put the troops there, you know, it probably was time to bring them home 2 years ago, a long time ago. By the way, you tell me, who's the good guys in Syria? Go ahead, I'm waiting. Hello? Hello, I'm waiting. We got the Russians over there. We got the president of Syria, who I mean, what's there to like about him? You got Iranian people there. You got us there. You got all kinds of other mercenaries and fighters, and you just name Iran is there. Who's the good guys over there that you want to send your sons over there to die for? Who's the good guys? As far as Trump was or is concerned, we were and are in Syria to fight and destroy ISIS. Now, Mr. Trump says the mission's accomplished, and so it's time to go. You see, what's wrong with that? Are we supposed to just stay in all these other countries and police the world? And I mean, you got to be kidding me. Number 3, Trump declared mission accomplished. What other reason is there to stay? Okay, so well, to help Israel, we'll put them in Israel then. Is anybody listening out there? Well, we need them there to protect Israel. Israel don't need us there to protect them. We have got their back. We don't have to have our men in Syria to protect Israel. If you're that worried about it, let's take them troops and put them right on the border between Israel and... Let's put them in Israel right on the border of Syria, okay? Will that make you happy? Well, in fact, let's send a few 100,000 more troops over there. Hey, let's send your son over there and your daughter. In fact, why don't you pack your bags and go over there if you think that that's our job? It's not our job, friends. I don't mean to be unkind, but I think some stuff goes to our head sometimes. We cannot police the world. It's not our job. George Washington warned us about getting involved in the affairs of the world. Now, Israel's our friend. They're our ally. I understand that. And we're for them. And we've got their back. But it might be, friends, that we're kind of in the way right now. And that's my next point. I said this already. Who are the good guys in Syria? Good luck with that. Number 5, with American troops out of the way, Israel is now free to do what must be done. You see, with American troops over there, you can't go over there and drop bombs. But with us out of the way, maybe Israel is going to do what needs to be done. Now, let me share number 6. Let me say this. There are only... Are you ready for this? Anybody know how many troops are over there? Anybody know? I got Facebook rolling here. Anybody on Facebook know how many troops we've got in Syria? Anybody want to guess? 100,000? 80,000? Anybody got a guess? I'm watching here. Anybody got a guess? Anybody know how many troops we've got in Syria? I'm talking about United States troops. Now, staff, you got it, buddy. Staff got it. If you're on Facebook, 2,000. Did you realize that? 2,000. I didn't say 20,000. I didn't say 200,000. 2,000 troops in Syria. Now, when I heard that, I said, my goodness, and everybody's crying. It's like 2,000 men are going to save the world over there. You've got to be kidding me. And by the way, our men have not been doing the fighting. They've been overseeing different factions of armies and all this nonsense. And their job, by the way, was to take out ISIS. And it's believed that we've done that. I mean, I don't know. That's what they're telling us. They wiped them out over there. It's time to come home. It's time to get out of there. It's time to get out of Dodge. That's another country. It's not our country. We can't send our men to every country in the world and leave them there. All right? 2,000 troops is what we're talking about. Did you know that? Most of you, 95% of you, probably 99% of you folks watching this video thought there was thousands more than that. 2,000 men. Or I should say men and women. I don't know how many women are over there, but now let me say this. By the way, there's a Bloomberg article. Let me see if I can find that here. There's a Bloomberg article I read that was had some interesting thoughts in it. See if I can find... 3 senior Israeli officials said that while the small U.S. force, 2,000 men, had largely focused on combating ISIS and had done little to assist on Israeli priorities anyway. This isn't a Bloomberg story. The American withdrawal is will still constitute a blow. This is Israel talking. Even though the U.S. was not acting directly against the Iranians, its presence there was a major obstacle, said Reserve Brigadier General Yossi Cooper Wasser, former Director General of Israeli Strategic Affairs. I get that. I get that. Israel's begging for help. They want money. They want help. I get that. America pulls out. They feel, oh my God, we need their help. You got our help, man. You got our help. You're our greatest ally. We are with you. Our 2,000 guys in Syria is not going to save Israel from an attack. In fact, we may be an obstacle in the way keeping Israel from attacking something that needs to be attacked, because that's not why we're there. All right. The 3 officials spoke on condition of anonymity to discuss sensitive matters. Said the Israeli assessment was that Iran has less motivation to resume overland convoys after seeing Israel's determination to attack them. So there's more there you can read if you want, but let me say this. General Mattis has resigned. Okay, get over it. General Mattis resigned. Okay, that's fine. If he wants to resign, if that's all it took, he has a disagreement with the president, we get that, okay. If it's such a big deal, you can't sleep at night, General, then good, see you later. Somebody else will come in and do your job. You're not gonna agree with the Commander-in-Chief on everything, and that's just the way it goes. So he resigned, and another guy resigned who had something to do with fighting ISIS, and everybody was mad about that. And then we found out. And I wish I had his name, but I didn't write it down. But another guy resigned, another official. And then I read that he was put in way back when Bush was president. And when Obama took over, Obama asked him to stay. And this guy was supposed to leave in February. Trump asked him to stay on a little while, and he was going to resign in February. So he resigned. He resigned a month and a half early, and made a big stink about it. And shined the light on his commander-in-chief. Shame on these guys. Where's the loyalty anymore? Why can't you just leave quietly and, you know, it's like you're God and you know what's right, and the president made the wrong decision and I know it all, and therefore I'm gonna let the world know that he's wrong and I'm right. Oh, pack your bags, buddy. Pack your bags and get out of Washington and get away from the president. Go work at McDonald's somewhere. My goodness. And General Mattis, you could have left quiet. You didn't have to write the letter you wrote and criticize probably one of the greatest presidents ever to take the oath of office in our president in our White House. And you had a disagreement, a strategic disagreement, and you got mad. Okay, be a man and get over it. Mr. Mattis, General Mattis, you would not have took that from your inferiors. Somebody under you, Mr. General, you'd have been very upset if they'd have acted like you've acted under our president. Now look, I'm going to go ahead and say it. I don't care. General Mattis, you'd have court-martialed somebody for treating you the way you've just treated your superior officer, the commander-in-chief. So pack your bags, General. Well, you've already been replaced, I understand. There's already a replacement for it. There's nobody not replaceable out there. And by the way, we all this government shutdown, all these non-essential workers. I say shut it down. I say send pink slips to most of them people. If they're non-essential, let them go work like everybody else does out in the world, instead of getting paid off the back of the taxpayers. Yeah, government's become a big monster. All right, here it is. Going on Christmas, and Brother Goodwin's all mad and yelling over here. I wanted to share with you my perspective here. Could some serious things be about to happen in the Middle East? Sure, sure. God's got it in control. There's prophecies. There's Ezekiel 38 and 39. And there's possibly the destruction of Damascus still waiting to be fulfilled. I don't know for sure. I'm on the fence on that. You know, our 2,000 guys isn't standing between Armageddon and peace. I promise you. And what we just read, they were not involved in this anyway. They were fighting ISIS mainly. And folks say, well, Russia's now taken over. Russia's already got it. What are we going to do? We're going to go to war with Russia to kick them out of their part of Syria? Good luck with that. Talk to the former president about that. He opened the door for that. So, listen, amazing things are happening. And don't throw your president under the bus. Make sure you get all the facts. And look, if Mr. Trump's made a mistake, get in line, because you'll make a mistake next week. And George Washington made some mistakes, and Ronald Reagan made some mistakes, and every president makes some mistakes. Now he's done what he thinks is best. Get our troops out of there. And look, it's past time to get our guys out of Afghanistan. Who's the good guys in Afghanistan? Figure that out. What are we doing there? Well, you've been listening to God's Final Jubilee program. You can find me at www.godsfinaljubilee.com. The brand new book, 7 Clocks of Ticking, is there. You can take a look at that. And just wanted to come on tonight with a brief update about Syria. Okay? We'll see you next time.